Welcome back to the show. You're still watching the Afia Morning Weekend Show. And today is going to be a lot. Of course, our co-host has joined us, Barrister Chidi. Barrister Chidi Ujoatumba has joined us for the newspaper review. The headlines today, they look really, really interesting. And I'm going to begin with first news. Akpabio invited me for a good time, Senator Natasha alleges. You are a liar. Akpabio's wife fires back. Senator's claim sparks controversy. Rivers crisis, Wike rejoices as Supreme Court void LG poll, blocks state funds. Tinubu signs 54.99 trillion naira 2025 budget into law. Ireti Kingibe slams Natasha, Senate isn't for seat fights. Obasa's plenary, a show of shame, Speaker Miranda. Alleged 60.85 billion naira fraud, EFCC arraigns ex-Abia governor, Orji for 4 others in Abia. Article calls for probe into Akpabio's harassment allegation by Natasha. Obasa apologizes to DSS, police over assembly assault. Lagos court jails Indian man 10 years for fraud.
All right, moving on to Saturday Tribune. The boldest headline says, Supreme Court stops allocation to Rivers, sacks LG chairman. Another headline here says, Natasha, Akpabio's rift gets messier. Akpabio wanted to sleep with me, says Natasha. She's a liar, Akpabio's wife says. She does not follow Senate rules. Ireti Kingibe. Also on this paper, Mustafa Kwara, senator, empowers constituents. He is promoting Tinubu's renewed agenda, says Barr. Ramadan begins today after moon sighting. Lagos crisis. Obasa is doing drama, says Miranda. 36 members may reconvene House on Monday. Disquiet as 3 northern states shut schools for Ramadan fast. That's what we have on Saturday Tribune.
And from the Blueprint Weekend, we have the boldest headline, frequent Lassa fever outbreaks. Experts NCDC advise citizens on preventive measures. Surveillance system needed to tackle reported cases. Federal government should implement more policies to combat menace. This is by Dr. Oko, and we have enhanced surveillance, contact tracking in affected states. This is by NCDC. Moving on, Tinubu wishes Muslim faithful spiritual fulfillment as fasting begins today, Saturday. Senator Mustafa promoting Tinubu's agriculture, food security agenda. This is by Kiari and Barry. In Rivers crisis, Supreme Court nullifies Rivers local government poll, restores Amewulu as speaker. And lastly on this paper, domestic equity closes higher gains, 991 billion naira. That's the most we can take from this paper.
Let's move over to the matrix. Rivers crisis, Supreme Court ruling rattles for Barr. Awaits legal briefing, says defection issue still unresolved. We cannot allow anyone to truncate democracy of the country, Wike. Says only thing anyone can do now is to appeal the judgment. To God. Ramadan, moon sighted in Saudi Arabia, fasting begins today. Lagos Assembly crisis, Miranda slams Obasa's action as show of shame. Soludo charges SCDC to prioritize railway connecting southeastern states. Paul Okoye blames twin brother for Jude's arrest. Tinubu signs bold, ambitious, necessary 2025 budget into law, says we will not burden future generations with reckless borrowing. ICTN implementation sparks heated debate as stakeholders trade tackles. Sexual harassment, Akpabio's wife fumes, slams Natasha Akpoti's shocking allegations. Army renames Ikeja military cantonment after late COAS Lagbaja.
Moving on to Saturday Times. Boldest headline says, Tinubu signs 54.99 trillion naira 2025 budget into law. 2027, APC will unite to regain total control of FCT, says Minister. Supreme Court sacks Rivers LG chairman, stops CBN AGOF from releasing monthly allocations. You find that on page 17. Lagos speakership crisis. Tinubu's silence not golden, says Atiku. NSITF records 22,350 claims in 2024, covers 7.6 million employees. Two to die by hanging for abduction, murder in Jigawa. Troops capture notorious kidnappers, terrorists in Plateau. Naira dips at FX market, closes at 1,500 naira per dollar. Regina Daniels erases Ned Walco from IG amid split rumors. That's what we have on this paper.
And from Weekend Trust, we have 23 days after General Tisida remains in captivity as bandits intensify attacks on Katsina communities, target council chairmen and businessmen. Lagos Assembly crisis in Ujoatumba's 2027 bid. Ramadan begins today, Sultan declares in page 25. Supreme Court stops Rivers allocation, recognizes pro-Wike lawmakers. This is in page 21. And fuel scarcity looms as ban on 60,000 litre trucks takes effect today. And lastly on this paper, President signs 54.99 trillion naira 2025 budget into law. That's the much we can take from this paper.
Let's move over to this day. Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan rocks Senate, accuses Akpabio of sexual advances. Senate President's wife rises in defense of her husband, debunks claims. Ireti Kingibe, Carpet Kogi Senator. Anxiety as Supreme Court halts release of federal allocation to Rivers, voids LG polls. State government calls for calm, urges residents to be law-abiding. Says defection suit pending in court. FHC fixes April 30 for hearing. VK hails judgment. INEC to Fubara, your allegations against us misplaced. Tinubu signs 54.99 trillion naira 2025 budget, promises greater prosperity.
All right, moving on to the Guardian weekend. Confusion, controversy, becloud selection of Admiralty University's Vice Chancellor. Pro-Chancellor Registrar announced different Vice Chancellors. Nothing like most qualified candidate after shortlisting, says Registrar. Jibrin Kyari applauds Senator Mustafa for promoting Tinubu's agriculture, food security agenda. Akpabio Natasha face-off goes dirty as allegation of sexual harassment emerges. Sultan declares Saturday, March 1st as commencement of Ramadan in Nigeria. As Nigeria's democracy has lost its majesty, we find that on this paper, Inside Stuff back page. Wike Fubara reacts as Supreme Court invalidates Rivers LG election on page 2. LG autonomy while local councils must breathe. This is a special feature, and that is the much we can take on this paper.
And from Saturday Punch, Boldest headline, Lagos Speaker back to shift to court as Assembly Obasa face-off defies resolutions. Lawyers clash in courts. GAC loses control. Security operatives take over Assembly. Real reason I abandoned 16-year priesthood to become native doctor. This is by ex-Catholic priest. How mischievous drug users lace friends' food with marijuana. Another one says Tinubu Sultan seeks prayer as Ramadan begins today. We have also here on this paper, wife defends Akpabio after Natasha accuses Senate President of sexual harassment. Reinstated lawmakers, Wike's camp mocks Rubara over judgment, cancelled local government polls. Minister tackles governors, holds Thanksgiving service. So that's the much we can take from the Saturday Punch.
I think those are the headlines that we have this morning. A lot of it. Do we start from Obasa, or do we talk about what's happening in Rivers?
We spoke extensively about Obasa yesterday, and I don't think much has really happened. They are proceeding to court to see what would be now the court verdict. But what is happening in the National Assembly is very, very interesting to talk about. And also the activities of the Supreme Court yesterday in
Rivers
nullifying the election which was held on the 5th of October last year, and also reinstating, or rather recognizing the 26 pro-Wike lawmakers as, the rightful members of the House. And there's a whole lot to talk about there. So I think I am also concerned that up to now, General Siga have not been found, have not been released. I mean, it's so worrisome. The abduction, what happened, I think, is it last 2 weeks or thereabout. Being the kind of person he is and how he has served this country, I have been of the opinion that the JTF and other members of the paramilitary outfit should have been, working hard to see how they can, secure the release of General Siga.
I think we should start from what's going on, or how it sounds that the election that happened last year, October 2024 last year, now has now been nullified and
Yes.
given to. I mean, help us make sense of it.
Okay, you can remember that prior to that election, okay, the pro-Wike lawmakers, they went to Federal High Court and they got an injunction stopping the state INEC from conducting that election. But they went ahead and conducted the election, and Fubara guys, all of them, they won all the local government and thereabout. So they now went to court from that Federal High Court, they now went to Court of Appeal. Court of Appeal recognized recognized the election as a proper election, which now made them to go straight to Supreme Court. Election cases like this, you can see that they always get an expedited attention. If it were to be an ordinary case, probably they wouldn't have gotten to the Supreme Court. I mean, from October to February is barely 5 months or to 4 months or thereabout. So, but the issue here is that the issue that was canvassed in the Supreme Court is before you conduct any state local government election, the state voters register must be updated. That is one. Secondly, you must publish 90 days notice before setting down the date of the election. So this is what they were canvassing. And these two things were not met by Fubara before conducting that election. So the Supreme Court have on the verge that these two things were not met. They have nullified the election, and it is as though no election was actually conducted. But on the other side, the governor still has the chances of putting up another date, complying with the electoral laws that the Supreme Court is saying that he violated, and maybe conducting another election. In another development, the 26 members have been reinstated, and one will be asking himself, what is the fate of the governor of Rivers State right now? Because looking at the scenario, you can find out that he has breached a constitutional issue. Okay, you've spent a whole year budget without authorization, without actual approval. The law says you must bring it to the members of the House. And when you look at what is happening now, you can also cast your mind back to what is happening in Lagos State, where there's another faction of either 3 against 36 or 4 against 36. And here, the majority, they are the ones sitting. Are you getting what I'm saying now? Because they have we are alleging that they have the backing of the federal government. There are two things playing here. You must get the support of the president, or you get the support of the Supreme Court before you legitimize whatsoever that you are doing. I don't know what would be the fate of the Lagos State House of Assembly if definitely the matter is in court, but I don't know what would be the decision at the end of the day. Whether the court will validate the impeachment exercise conducted by, I think, 36 members of the House, or whether the court will not invalidate that. So a whole lot of things are happening, and it's not a very good news for Governor Fubara. All the efforts and all the expenses they have made over these years, everything has been, and you cannot even say that the commissioners he appointed, do you know that, do you know what the Supreme Court has done? The Supreme Court has removed the rug off his feet. You know what it means? Every governmental activity that he has carried on for this number of period that these members of the House were not sitting, all of them is now null and void. They are illegal. They are null and void. You cannot do anything with them. Even appointing the Attorney General of Rivers State, every activity he has done by the virtue of this judgment of the Supreme Court. And like you rightly pointed out, this is not a time we have WACA, West African Court of Appeal, okay, or Hague. You can't do anything. The Supreme Court is the final authority in this matter, and the only person you can appeal to is God. And that's basically nothing that they can do.
That's literally what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said. You take your appeals to God.
Okay. Away from that now, let's look at this particular issue. We're still going to talk more on it during the show, but there are a couple of things I would like you to address, and this is the Akpabio and Natasha saga. and we have it all over the headlines. But let me just read from First News. This one says, Akpabio invited me for a good time.
Yeah.
Natasha alleges. And then the rider says, you are a liar. Akpabio's wife fires back. And another one says, Senator's claim sparks controversy. There's something else I want to read from this other paper right here. This is from Saturday Tribune. This one, it has the riders say, Akpabio wanted to sleep with me, Natasha. She's a liar, Akpabio's wife says. And then the last rider here says, she does not follow Senate rules. Now, the first question I'd like to ask is, I remember a few months ago when the Equatorial Guinea sex controversy scandal leaked online, we had people arguing that he may be a government official, but that is a moral issue.
Yes.
And it has no basis. Nobody should really talk about it. It's not something that he should be penalized for. If, of course, if this particular issue is investigated and seen to be true. I want to understand what are, first of all, if an investigation is made, which I'm sure is in process, and it is realized that Akpabio is actually guilty of those accusations made by Natasha, what exactly is meant to happen to him? Because online now, people are saying, what has happened? Have they done anything? Or are they going to wave it off because he's a politician? And some people are saying, oh, it's a moral issue now. He has nothing to do with his position as the Senate president and all manner of things. So I'd like you to address it, please.
No, it's a moral issue. It's also a political issue. Because when you listen to Natasha's further narrative, where she alleged that when her motion concerning the agricultural steel industry was turned down the first time, the second time, the third time, the fifth time, it was actually on the sixth time that the deputy senior president, not even the senior president,
yes, now
allowed
approved
her
it
to move that motion. That there was a time that she approached the senior president in the office, and the senior president, made a statement that he is the chief person who, makes the rule here. That
says the ball is not
that you should take care of him. So that the thing that's a very important statement. When you look at it from the moral angle, okay, you now find out that it's like a blackmail. Like Natasha rightly pointed out, like the relationship between a lecturer and a student. If you don't sleep with me, you will not pass my course. That's exactly what it is. And lawyers are calling for a very, big investigation into this matter. And for that investigation to occur, Akpabio cannot be sitting there as the Senate president. You understand? He has to step aside for someone to, convey a committee that will look into this matter and investigate it very well. Women all over the nation, they are speaking up. FIDA is speaking up. A whole lot of people, they are speaking up. Because when you bring all the narratives together, you'll find out that this is not just an ordinary sexual harassment. Okay, it is dripping with, with a lot of intimidation, because she will have something to do, and you are removing all her privileges, probably because she doesn't want to dance to your tune. And the wife of the senior president is not even making matters easy for the husband, because in the past the husband has faced a whole lot of sexual harassment allegations. A certain time, somebody from is with Niger Delta Development Commission alleged that she slapped Akpabio because Akpabio made sexual harassment on her. There are so many allegations of sexual harassment on this man, and you are coming out openly. What if other people now start opening their phone or start talking, and what if other allegations start coming out? How will you be able to, contain the cankerworm that will come out of this kind of investigation? I am calling for an impartial investigation. Let me tell you one thing. That post, okay, called Senate, okay, it's a sacrosanct position. It's where laws are made. It's like an altar. It's where laws that affect everybody in this country, whether you are PDP, whether you are APC, whether you are LP, no matter, whether you are partyless, that place is sacrosanct. This is not the kind of story that we should be hearing coming out from our Senate. I am supporting those who are calling for an impartial panel of justice, okay? A committee should be set up. This should be investigated. Because when you listen to her narrative, she has been desperately pushed to the wall. There is nothing that she can do simply because she is not dancing to the tune of a leader in that capacity, a leader who should be the custodian of morality in that cadre is doing this kind of a thing. I am not saying it's true. I know that he will come out and defend himself. That's why he's not speaking up. He's watching statements and knowing what he will come up with as a defense. But let there be an investigation into this matter, okay? And as the investigation is going on, let the senior president step aside. He should step aside. Look, this goes to the quality of leaders and the quality of leadership we are enjoying in this country.
Honestly speaking,
Goes to the quality of leader and the quality of leadership we're enjoying in this country.
you know, I'm concerned. I'm worried. In this particular time and age, women are still faced with this kind of situation where a woman knows what she wants to do, has the caliber, has everything required of her to be in a position, and she's still faced with something like this.
When you even look into the first time, or I think on the 8th day, there was a dish that she mentioned in the report. The Senate, she alleged that the Senate president had the audacity to be toasting her in his house. Meanwhile, the husband was at the back taking a phone call. And the husband and the Senate president, they are close friends. Look at the audacity. Do you know how many women, when you look at the whole scenario, you will see that this looked to me like something. It's a game. This is what he normally does. Okay, he takes you through that route, invite you to his house, make you an offer, and then start playing the game. Yeah, from there, you just enter. But it happens to be that this one is not the type that you can do that kind of a thing with. So this allegation should be properly investigated to sanitize the Senate. It should be, and it's a shame to the Senate. It's a shame to the whole Nigeria that we are, if it were to be abroad, immediately it comes out, the following morning, the person should resign. He leave the seat and become an ordinary senator and be moving motion and be lobbying to be made to be a head of a committee. He becomes an ordinary person because that office is a sacrosanct office. There's a difference between that office and the person that is occupying the office. So you should meet the criteria, the political, the moral, and the religious criteria that is required for you to occupy such office. So it is not an allegation that should be taken with kids' gloves. It should be properly investigated. And if Fabio is found wanting, he should face the strong arm of the law.
Okay, now moving away from that, let's look at this General Siga's situation. Is it that Nigeria does not know what to do? Let's say if it's an ordinary man, you say the family should take care of it. But this man is someone, it's a significant person when it comes to Nigeria and the politics. So is it that Nigeria does not know the steps to take to save him, or that they don't want to take this step?
Maybe, I don't know whether he has said anything against any political party or against any law enforcement agent. But have you been following the story? That the entire community has been on the run. You know what they say? If they can abduct General Siga the way and manner he was abducted, a retired general in that manner, if they can do that to him, what about us? The community clinical that everyone has this, the community is empty. So I believe that the government knows what to do. I believe that they're hearing all the complaints that are coming up from everyone. I believe that they know what to do, but I don't know who is in charge and what is still keeping them. Or is it when they found his dead body in one place that they will now start, I pray it doesn't get to that matter. He has been a figure in that community since his retirement. He has been one of those, calling for security, both for local security, maintaining, telling the government, giving the government intelligence on how they can maintain security in his community. So for him to be abducted over a period of 2 weeks now or more, and nothing is being said about it, I mean, it's an issue of a general concern. I am calling on the Inspector General of Police and all the people who are concerned in that area to swing into action and bring General Siga back. He's a retired general. He's an elderly statesman. He deserves that. He deserves to be looked after. He deserves to be, we should go out there and bring him back.
I think we're going to leave it at that.
Okay.
I think those are the major headlines, and we still have more conversations, especially with the Senator Natasha versus Akpabio conversation. And I think we're just going to
Let there be more in-depth analysis on that.
Thank you so much, Barrister
Thanks for
Chidi,
having
for
me.
joining us.
Thank you.
We'll go on a very quick break, and when we return, of course, more conversations on the weekend show. Please stay with us.